Well, of course, it is President's Day, so we couldn't let it pass by without honoring the day and the presidents. We're happy to have Clint Arthur joining us to share some lessons that he personally learned from U.S. presidents. Welcome to the show, Clint.
Thank you. It's so great to be here, and I just want to congratulate St. Louis on President Harry S. Truman's birthplace. But I didn't get to meet Harry S. Truman. I've met 5 presidents. I wrote about it all in my Pulitzer-nominated book, Wisdom of the Men. The presidents I've met were Carter, Bush, Clinton, Trump, and Biden. You see all the pictures of me and each of those guys. And today I want to share a couple stories. And I'd love to start out with talking about Jimmy Carter. What an amazing person, human being, speaker. And I got to go to church with him and Rosalind Carter all in Plains, Georgia, Little Plains, Georgia. And, you know, the whole town is like a shrine to Jimmy Carter. It's amazing that he ran his presidential campaign out of the general store next to the railroad tracks in Plains, Georgia, and it's still there. And what really impressed me about Jimmy Carter, he was 90 years old when I met him, and he still had a forceful, powerful voice as a speaker. Even though he was in a wheelchair, or he was on a walker, but they kept him mostly in a chair. But even though he was physically diminished, his message and his voice was still very, very powerful. And it shows the importance of leaders being able to be great speakers. And Jimmy Carter's message that day, and for many years now, has been, hey, if you don't like the leader that you have been in your life, if you don't like the person that you've been in your life, change it today.
Yeah.
Become the person you want to be today. And I think that's a tremendous message for anybody, especially people who want to be leaders.
Yeah, we talked about it at the beginning of our show, what a great humanitarian, and all politics aside, you have to admire what a great humanitarian and spiritual person he was. People, they say, used to line up for hours to get into his Sunday school class, and I can imagine that. All right, who's next?
Next is George H.W. Bush. I've had a long career in food service, selling gourmet food to the casinos and hotels. And one day I was at the Wynn Resort in Las Vegas on a Sunday morning at 11 a.m. talking to one of my friends and clients who was the executive chef of the brasserie at the Wynn Resort on the lake there. And I'm just talking to the guy, and all of a sudden, in comes George H.W. Bush and 2 Secret Service agents just walking through the kitchen, back, behind the scenes. And I go to the French chef, holy cow, that was the president of the United States. And he goes, really? And then I go running after George Bush, and I go up to the Secret Service agent and I say, can I get a picture with the president? And I happen to have a little digital camera in my pocket just by accident. And the guy goes, sure, go ahead. So I go and I take the picture with George H.W. Bush. And I said, sir, what's the most important thing you ever learned? And he said, well, young man, that's a very big question. I have to say that you have to keep doing the things you love in this life. And if you look at that picture of me and George Bush, on his necktie are little parachute jumpers. And, he famously loved jumping out of airplanes. Even on his 80th birthday, he jumped out of an airplane. And that's him as a leader doing the things that he loves. And it's really important, especially in today's day and age. We get so caught up in doing what we think we're supposed to be doing, responsibilities. If you're a mom, taking care of the kids, making the lunch. But what are you doing for you? If you're a leader, you need to satisfy your own personal interest, or else you're not going to be as effective in your life.
And I don't want to run out of time because I want to get to President Clinton, too, because you had an opportunity to chat with him.
Yeah, I met him at my daughter's college graduation. They announced President Bill Clinton is here for the commencement because Hillary's nephew was graduating in the same class as my daughter at USC. So I found him, of course, sitting in the front row, and I went and got a seat on the aisle near him. And when he got up to go to the restroom, he comes walking up the aisle, and I started walking up the aisle with him. And I said, sir, could I get a photograph? And he said, now that sounded like a yes to me. So I snapped this photo right here. But the thing that was so impressive to me was that he had such personal power it just came emanating off of him, even in just the way he walked up the aisle. Because normally I would say to a person, hey, could I get a selfie? But I couldn't say that to him. Like when I met Anderson Cooper, I said, hey, Anderson, could I get a selfie?
Right.
That was no problem. But with Bill Clinton, I couldn't say, hey, sir. I had to say, sir, could I get a photograph? And I was really impressed by his personal power. And,
Clint, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Very quickly, the name of the book again?
Wisdom of the Men. It's on Amazon.com.
Thank you, sir. You can find this segment at KMOV.com/greatday following the show.